The role that women played in the building of a community is often overlooked in history. An example of this is Florence Gaskins. Florence Gaskins was a contemporary of Alexander Lightbourne and Dana Albert Dorsey in Miami's colored town at the turn of the 20th century. Gaskin was extremely vital to her community. Like Dorsey, Gaskin also gained wealth through her real estate holdings. She saved her earnings for several years and eventually acquired considerable rental and commercial real estate in Colortown. She was a central figure to the well-being of people, so much so that they referred to her as Aunt Florence. By all likelihood, Gaskins was born an enslaved person in north central Florida's Union County, southwest of Jacksonville in 1852. Her parents were Matthew and Lucinda Hargret. In 1880, we see Gaskins living in Jacksonville with her husband and two daughters, Mary and Lizzie Gaskins. By 1894, she moved to Miami, a widow, and built the first house to be occupied by a black family before the arrival of Flagler's Railroad. Flagler's Railroad arrived at the mouth of the Miami River in late spring of 1896. On September 18, 1896, Gaskins and others founded the Mount Zion Baptist Church, the second oldest black church in the city of Miami. The current structure of the church as it now stands was built in 1928, and Gaskins is credited as the person who financed the current building. In 1900, Gaskin purchased land from the Tuttle estate. Gaskins lived 1 block south and a little east of Lightbourne in Overtown. She is steps away from the railroad tracks at what was then 490 North 6th Street, today 7th Street and 1st Avenue. The census indicates that she has 4 boarders and her granddaughter, Wilhelmina, living with her. Wilhelmina is the daughter of Lizzie Gaskins and Miami incorporator Tobias Shine. The couple married in Jacksonville in 1897. Wilhelmina was born a year later. It is unclear when her mother, Lizzie, died, but at the time of her father's death in 1904, Tobias is listed as one of the wealthiest men in Colortown. He is buried in the Miami Cemetery. By 1920, Wilhelmina is listed on the census as Gaskin's daughter. By 1904, Gaskins is running a laundry service with the women in her community.
Florence Gaskins may have been the first black woman to own property in this area, first that we know of. She was a washerwoman and organized the women who walked from Overtown, Colortown, then it was called, to the Royal Palm Hotel, picked up the laundry. Remember, there were no washing machines, no dryers. So the only way the tourists got their linen and their clothes washed and ironed and prepared for them to wear was from the washerwomen. And Florence Gaskins organized those women, and they would walk across the railroad tracks to pick up the laundry and bring it home, and then they would go through that whole process outside with the tin tubs, washing and rinsing and then bluing. The white clothes had to be sparkling white, so they had to have a special tub with bluing in it. And then the Argo starch, that they would starch the clothes and then hang them up to dry. And of course the children knew not to run a certain way so that they would not knock the clothes down. Otherwise, the women would have to start all over again. It was quite a process. And then, of course, they had to iron them. It took maybe 2 days to do all of that, and then to get the clothes back to the tourist and get another bundle. So it was quite a process.
The 1907 City Directory indicates that Gaskins is running a cool drink stand at her home. In 1918, during World War I, she established the Black Cross, a division of the American Red Cross, and organized a campaign knitting scarves for the men fighting overseas. Gaskin, Dorsey, and others battled child mortality and other public health crises associated with Miami's poor. Later that same year, the Spanish flu epidemic broke out. Dorsey gave up his hotel to house the sick, while Gaskin appealed to the public for supplies. And in 1921, when the brand new Christian hospital opened, Gaskin is noted as being one of its earnest and faithful workers. At the end of 1920, Gaskin and other members of the Mount Zion Baptist Church gathered in the new community hall of Seminole. This is a colored settlement adjoining Hialeah. Located just west of the Hialeah Park racetrack are remnants of this once segregated community. In 1923, Gaskin opened a Negro branch of the Young Women's Christian Association in her home. In 1924, an employment agency, and in 1925, the community chest was established to promote work amongst colored citizens. Gaskins was one of the committee members. The community chest is today's United Way organization. In 1927, the Negro Welfare Association was formed. And on June 20th, 1927, the Florence Gaskins Day Nursery, housed in the old Washington school site in the Douglas Community Center, was opened. It later moved to the Christian Hospital in 1929. On the 1930 census, Wilhelmina Shine is missing from Gaskin's household. But Gaskin has adopted a 6-year-old daughter, also named Florence Gaskins. Gaskin died on July 31st, 1933. She was 72 years old. She's buried at Lincoln Memorial Park.